Welcome to Beauty and the Biohacker, where we explore the latest tools and trends in self-care, aesthetics, and peak performance to help you live your most beautiful life from the inside out. I'm your co-host, Rachel Varga, a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 19,000 rejuvenation treatments performed on thousands of patients.
And I'm Katie Moore, a self-proclaimed biohacker with 3 years of self-experimenting in the space of health and wellness technology. I'm on a mission to help you achieve success without sacrificing your health or happiness through my YouTube channel, Katie Type A.
So join us as we sit down with some of the biggest innovators in the health space, the movers and shakers of the wellness world,
and unpack some of the biggest secrets in the skincare and longevity space. We are Beauty and the Biohacker, and we're thrilled to have you along for the ride.
Welcome, everyone. We are thrilled to have you joining us today in this very special edition right here on Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell so that you know when new episodes are released. And welcome, Nicole from Sunlighten, Nicole Carlson. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Sunlighten and how Sunlighten is really helping to change the world in respects to at-home infrared sauna use.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for having me. So Sunlighten, our whole, all we talk about is light therapy. We have been doing light therapy for, this is our 21st year. So although some people may just be hearing about light therapy, it's not new. It might be new to someone, but it's definitely not new to us. Sunlighten, we started because our co-founders, Connie and Aaron Zach, Connie's brother actually was toxic and had some mercury poisoning and wasn't really able to seek treatment or couldn't find someone that could help him rather. And he turned to infrared. And this was, 25 years ago. And lo and behold, from that, he is doing amazing now. But they went on a mission to, really make this an easier process for people. Of course, then they had no idea how many millions of people, we would be able to help by fast forwarding 20 years. But it really has made such an impact and such a difference. And so we are just here to make the world a healthier place and share our light. So
I've been fascinated by sauna therapy, cold therapy for quite some time now. I traditionally started with dry saunas. They were in the most convenient, usually in gyms or resorts, etc. But, as of late, I've experimented with my fair share of infrared saunas, and I've found that, there's a couple of interesting things that happen, especially for me. It tends to be, less of an intense sweat right at first. You don't get quite as hot, but then you keep sweating throughout the day or like shortly thereafter when you leave the sauna. And so, that's kind of been one thing, and obviously there's a whole, ton of benefits that we can talk about. So I'd love for just listeners who are maybe thinking about purchasing their own saunas or looking to kind of understand the dry versus the infrared sauna. What are like the basic fundamentals that people should know about the differences between the two?
Yeah, so great question. And you point out the most obvious. It's a different experience for sure. The traditional saunas, it's going to, 200 degrees, is what you're looking at. With an infrared, it's not going to be that. To me, when I experience a traditional, I feel like it's people either kind of love them or hate them. I'm one of those that is not a fan. I feel like I'm suffocating. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can just make 30 more seconds, right? So it's a much more relaxing, calming experience when you're in a infrared versus a traditional. Also, just the process of what happens during and the reason why you're sweating couldn't be more different. In a traditional sauna, which does tend to be what more people are familiar with and maybe have more access to, up until I think recently, you're seeing more infrared opportunities out there. But it's heating up the ambient air around you, right? So you're sweating because the air is hot. So similar to, being outside on a hot day or something like that. It's a similar sweat. And yes, typically you then do stop sweating once your body, you're sweating because your body's trying to cool down. And then as soon as you maybe remove yourself from the situation and maybe go inside or something like that, then you're done with the sweat. Infrared is different. So infrared, it's just part of the spectrum, of the light spectrum. You just can't see it, right? But it's the healing part of that spectrum. It's the healing, nurturing part of the sun, of those wavelengths. And that's really kind of what the experience is like. It's a very, you guys can, I'm sure, attest to this, but it's almost like you're in there. It's like a warm hug, and it's just a really soothing. At the same time, it energizes you. It also relaxes you. So it's kind of a strange experience, I guess, in that way. But it's different because it's heating you up. So that infrared is literally traveling inside the body and reaching the cell. So you're sweating because your cell with Sunlighten receives a 3-degree rise in core body temperature. So you're sweating because it's almost like this false fever that you get from sitting in the sauna. And so that's why it lasts longer also. It does last, you may find, an hour, or, depending on the person. Obviously, we're all bio individuals, right? So depending on the person, but someone may be sweating for 30 minutes to an hour. Some people, it may take a few hours to stop that sweat. And I love telling people, don't be in a hurry to cool yourself down. Really let your body do that work, because you're continuing to detox as that sweat has happened. So I like to kind of, encourage people to just let it happen, and don't be too quick to make it go away.
Oh, that's very interesting that you say that, because my gut instinct is I should shower right away to kind of rid the toxins off my skin and body. So you're saying kind of let yourself bathe in your own sweat?
Well, so I think you can take a towel, right, and kind of towel it off. But yeah, just those pores are open. Just let them, you're continuing to detox. So let your body continue to detox.
Okay, cool.
I actually love getting my sauna session in right before a massage or acupuncture treatment. And I'm really lucky that the clinic where I go to, they have that available. So it's really convenient. I can just access that right before a treatment. And I love it. It just kind of really gets you in the zone, just relaxes you and all that good stuff. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about skin and also recovery, because I'm really intrigued and quite impressed, actually, I must say, with the Lumineer for the face and body. And for all of you tuning in here, learn more about Sunlighten and special offers just for B&B listeners in the show notes of this episode. That includes $100 off of a solo and $200 off of a cabin with free shipping. This is a big deal. So thank you so much, Sunlighten, for extending that. But let's talk a little bit about the Lumineer for the face and body. I do have my Lumineer behind me here, so I'll just show you what it looks like. It's this handheld device that you're going to hear some clicks here, that there's these attachments that you can change that emit different types of light. And it's super easy to use. I was really impressed with the connections with all the different hand pieces and things like that. But just walk us through the Lumineer for the face and body, and why Sunlighten and we are so excited about it.
Yeah, so it is a newer product for us. It's been around just a few years. It does use the exact same technology that we use in our cabin saunas or in our solo system, which Rachel mentioned, which is our portable sauna. So same as so much is in the near infrared. So our saunas, we have far infrared saunas. We also have saunas that parse out the different infrared, so far, mid, and near. So you're getting all of those individually. There's benefits for all of them. That's a kind of a whole other conversation. But the amazing thing about the Lumineer, so it's a blend. So it's going to provide near infrared. It's also going to provide red light and blue light. So there's different benefits to that. That being said, there's also 4 different attachable heads. They're super easy to pop on and off. And each of those, and it does have that amazing carrying case. So it's
By the way, this is definitely an episode you're going to want to watch so that you can see what the Lumineer looks like. And if you're listening, I'm actually doing a bit of a video demo. So you can check out the YouTube channel for this. But continue, Nicole. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really great because it is easy to use on the go. It has a USB cord for charging. You can get 8 to 10 or so treatments before you would need to recharge it. So yeah, there's different heads. There's Luma Glow, Luma Clear, the Luma Sport, and the Lumineer. So each of them, depending on what your goal is for that treatment, have a different blend of, potentially the near, the blue, and the red light. So, it may be something where like the Luma Sport is really great for wound healing. So that's something you would want to use that for. The Lumineer.
I actually love the Sport for neck pain, and I get headaches. So I even just actually applied it on my head and face while I was doing my face treatment. I'm like, oh my gosh, this really helps me. And my hubby's a pro athlete and he puts it on his injuries. We've been using red light therapy near infrared for well over a decade. Mm-hmm. And the technology just continues to get more slick and convenient and easy to use.
Yeah, it definitely does. And you can go from that. It's great for people that are active. It helps with pain relief and joint relief and all of that. Muscle inflammation, joint inflammation. It helps with acne. It helps regenerate. It encourages your cells to regenerate. So it helps with collagen production. So, what I love about it is I have a large family. There's 6 of us. We have 4 kids. And so, it's great for me. Anti-aging is kind of where I'm at, but I also have kiddos that are, teenagers that are getting into the whole acne situation. We're all very active as well. So we use it for that. And we've used it for everything from acne to, just those sore muscles to wounds, which of course we have too. So it's a great product for anyone. And it's portable on the go, which is amazing too.
And how often should you be doing treatments, or what is like the recommended guideline? I've been, as I mentioned before, I've been kind of suffering from a little of the maskne issue where I'm getting a lot of pimples around, the jawline. And so I've been using the Clear, and I've actually noticed in just a couple of sessions that it's starting to mitigate. So, is it like kind of just use as needed, or would you say just this is something that you should be including in your nightly routine or morning routine every day?
Well, I do think it's something you can easily include in your routine depending on what your goals are, right? But it kind of varies. I mean, to see a difference, we would, and it depends again on what you're going for, but anywhere between 1 to 3 or 4 weeks, you want to use it regularly. And also depending on, like, for instance, for like wrinkles and tightening skin and things like that, I would say 3 or 4 times a week. Probably the same thing for the wound healing and things like that. With acne, I think that's the one exception where you do probably, you want to use it at least 5 or 6 times a week. And then you can continue with that. With acne, there's so many different causes. So whether, so many things cause the acne. So I think you would want to continue to use it until you really figure out what the underlying issues are with that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity there and a lot of different ways to use it based on what the need is and why you're using it.
While we're talking about skin and the Lumineer, I would love to share some of my tips for integrating the Sunlight Lumineer for facial rejuvenation. So I'm in my mid-30s. I'm acne prone, maskne. Yeah, the struggle is real, Katie. I totally feel you, girl. And the way I recommend using it for the face, especially if you are acne prone, wash your face first, make sure your hands are clean, give the little hand piece here. It's like a plastic case over top of it. Just give it a wipe. If you have some alcohol wipes, you can do that too. And then use the product on clean skin. And then what you could do is actually wash your face again and then put your products on over top so that you're not accidentally moving bacteria and microbes around. So clean skin, wash your face before and after, and then put your products on. And Nicole, I'd love your 2 cents on that, but that's how I recommend integrating it. And just so you know, this isn't medical advice, it's educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you're the skin expert. I just know what the light is going to, how the light can help. So I think that's a great recommendation. And again, everyone's different, so I think you just kind of play with it. There's also different levels of intensity that you can do. So just kind of start slow, and you can work your way up as far as that goes too. But it's very easy to operate. It's like on off, and then the different levels of intensity. And the handhelds pop on and off, or sorry, the what's the word I'm looking for? The little, yeah. Oh, there we go. It fell. But yeah, the heads are really easy to pop on and off.
So I had a question about using them, like at what times you should kind of be using them throughout the day. Obviously, there's a convenience factor for me. It happens to be kind of right before I go to bed. It's like sits next to my table, and so I remember it. But I was curious about the blue light and the acne because, as a biohacker, it's like, you stay away from blue light at night. It's like all about red light in our place. And so is there a risk of it interfering with your sleep when you have the Luma Clear and the blue light attachment on at night?
Yeah, well, it does come with goggles, so you can wear the goggles and it shouldn't be of risk. The blue, the time it's really important, the blue is really important with the acne treatment because it does help as far as just being able to kill bacteria and such. As well, you're not directly looking at it, right? So you can wear the goggles if you want, but you're also not, it would be here and your eyes are here. So you're not directly, it's not so bright when you think of blue light, like from a TV or, something like that. But if you are one that's prone more to, being affected by blue light, then obviously, mix it up and try it earlier in the day. But it's probably not enough as a spot treatment to really affect that.
What I noticed about the handpiece here, I work with a lot of lasers. We're talking $140,000 devices, IPL treatments, erbium laser, all sorts of things. And what I really like about some of the newer generations of intense pulse light, which the light is looking for a target, it's looking for reds and browns on the skin. So it's great for things like acne, melasma, rosacea, telangiectasia, but you have to have the right skin type for it. So booking a consultation, I'm happy to review if it's a good option for you because it's not good for everybody. But what I like about it, when you apply it onto the skin, the way that it's created on the side here, the light actually isn't spilling out. It's really kind of staying where you put it. So when I, for example, do my temples or my periocular area around my eyes, I find that the light isn't really, like if you kind of angle it, it's kind of not really getting in your eyes, which is nice. But if you want to wear your eye goggles, you certainly can. But that's just my 2 cents, is that it tends to stay really well captured when you're placing it on the skin, just the way that it's designed. So I really like that about it.
And with the goggles, I was wondering, like, is it an absolute necessity to wear the goggles? Can you, just close your eyes, or is there like a potential risk to your eyes and some type of sensitivity if you are getting a little bit of those light frequencies into your eyes?
Yeah, again, I think to Rachel's point, because it's kind of enclosed on the area that you're using it, the goggles we just provide as an option for someone who that makes them feel more comfortable. I can tell you, I've never used my goggles, and I've never personally had any issues with that. But you're welcome to if you'd like. But because it's so really concentrated on that area, it should be okay for most people. I think it's just more if you're more comfortable using the goggles. You definitely don't have to. You can also just close your eyes as well, and there wouldn't be any issues with just closing your eyes as well.
So moving on to the kind of back to the sauna, and which you guys are obviously very famous for. And I have a couple of different questions in mind, but let's start with, different biohacks that you can do in the sauna. And just like out of curiosity, like what do you do? What does your sauna session look like? And maybe Rachel, you can tell me kind of yours too. Do you meditate in the sauna? Do you do breath work? Like, is there, what do you do special, or do you just kind of take time to just unplug and recharge in the sauna?
Yeah, great question. For me, it's definitely a time. I always do it at night. It's definitely a time for me to have to myself. Sometimes my husband joins me and we sauna together. Is just like kind of a time to regroup at the end of the night after a busy day. I always use my essential oils. I have one specific blend that I really like, that just the blend itself also promotes kind of relaxation and such. And so I do that. And I usually do some breath work. We do have one of our saunas that has the tablet in it, so you can watch Netflix and do all those sort of things. And my kids love that. That's not what I enjoy. So I don't really have anything happening in there from that perspective, even music. I just like the quiet, and just doing some breath work and some meditation and just kind of closing my eyes and relaxing. So that's about as extensive, I guess, as my sessions get. Probably a little more basic than what yours look like.
How about you, Rachel? I'm just curious what yours look like.
I like to use the Lumineer right before bed. And in fact, I'll use it while my hubby and I are cuddling and watching Netflix. We'll actually trade off. So I'll use the sport, say, for example, if my neck's bothering me or if my head's bothering me, or say he's got an injury from kickboxing or jiu-jitsu. He's a 6-time pro world champion kickboxer. So he loves using these things for recovery. And I like using it for pain and anti-aging. And then we'll just kind of trade back and forth. I'll just kind of switch out the hand pieces, say I'm done doing, targeting pain on my body and I want to do more of the rejuvenation, I'll go for that. And I just, so everybody's tuning in, if you don't hear me talking about products or at-home devices like facial rejuvenation stuff, there's usually a reason for that. So there is a reason why I'm talking about the Sunlighten LumiNIR Wand, because it's made well, and I personally have noticed an effect from it. So when I'm in the sauna, I typically like to do my sauna sessions before getting, like I said, a massage or acupuncture treatment, or with the at-home LumiNIR version, which I have to say is actually at a pretty reasonable price point. Just from my personal opinion, I think you guys have done a great job making it affordable, so that, say, for example, people can't afford a cabin or a solo, they can at least start to get the benefits of the infrared and near infrared for skin and recovery benefits in this. And I happen to know we have a mutual friend, JJ Virgin.
Yeah.
I'm actually on her show again, and vice versa. She's on mine. I think I interview her in a couple weeks, but she actually used it when she sprained her ankle. And so it's great. You can travel with it. You can take it with you. It's pretty light. It's compact. Everything fits in this little bag. So how I like to stack my biohacks in the sauna is drinking a ton of water, and I'll actually just do like some yoga stretches. I'll deep breathe, and then yes, I'll towel off afterwards, and then I'll shower off a little bit later. But I wanted to actually ask you, Nicole, because this is one of the things I really like about Sunlighten, and it's the manufacturing materials that are used. And I have interviewed you before, Nicole, on the Rachel Varga podcast, and that you guys can check that out. But I'd love for you to just share here with our audience. Tell us about the cleaner manufacturing materials with the Sunlighten sauna products and how it differs from the rest of the mass-produced saunas on the market. And I want you to kind of get a little bit nitty-gritty here and really expose the issues with the sauna markets with off-gassing, bad glues, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, anything from toxic materials to EMFs. I mean, it's really, it's a huge concern. And unfortunately, most of the saunas are, at the end of the day, the exact same sauna. So they all kind of have the exact same toxic, icky stuff that we don't want, because the majority of them are made by the same manufacturers, and then they're relabeled as with, a lot of other things that are sold in the health and wellness industry. But Sunlighten, we are the manufacturer. And it's been very important to us from the beginning. Like I said, I mean, the personal story is Jason Jeffers, who's Connie's brother. And I mean, the whole goal from day one, they had no idea where we would be, but was really to help others and make sure that we're detoxing, not retoxing, which is unfortunately what's happening, because it's so important to think about. Because when you think about heating things up, I mean, if they're toxic, absolutely, they're going to off gas. So, you have to think about the components that make up the sauna. We have tried to streamline it. We use the least amount of components that we have to do. We actually came up with a whole patented assembly process in the way that our heaters stick, so that we don't have to use to the walls, that the heater panels stick, so that there's no glues used. We make sure that we use only woods that are non-toxic. I mean, there's a whole list actually that people may not be aware of toxic woods, right? So as you can imagine, if you're heating it up, it's going to be even worse if you do have a sensitivity to those woods. So yeah, we only use a handful of woods in our saunas. And if you were to say compare, I mean, I could put you in a room with a bunch of different saunas and cover the labels. There is a massive difference just by looking, just the eye, viewing these saunas and seeing the difference. Like the glass is thicker, the wood is thicker, the benches are, you can tell made better just from looking. These are meant to last, and not only last, but make sure that we are helping you and not sort of helping you by having things off gas. So a lot of pride and time and research has gone into making sure that we're only using the safest materials. And that even goes into the EMF. That's a big question that a lot of people ask. We recently had new EMF testing done by a third party called Vitatech that we've used before. We recently put it was this year, 2021, and we have it on our website now. Every single one, we've always had that information, but we didn't have it on every single one of our saunas. But now we do, and you can find that every single line, everything that we produce it's almost undetected. Everything is less than 1, but you can actually find it broken out there, which is honestly is quite amazing, especially given our Impulse, which has a tablet in it. So that's kind of that's a huge difference between us and everyone else. No one else produces, manufactures a sauna that has a tablet. The Impulse actually runs on the tablet. There's 6 preset wellness programs on there, as well as some different apps like Netflix and Pandora and things, but you actually run it from there. So even given that, it's a special tablet that's lower EMF, and most people, if you think about it too, the funny thing is most people are taking their devices into their sauna. It's also something to consider. What are you taking in the sauna? Maybe potentially, I would encourage people to use it as a time to not have a lot of those. The average household devices that you have are going to have much higher EMFs than what you're going to find in our saunas. So low EMF all around. And we're continuing to we're definitely not perfect, but we're always working to make things even better.
When I'm in the sauna and what I do, I totally forgot about this. Why didn't I mention this? I do this when I do my baths as well with my red light therapy, throw some salt in there as well with some nice essential oils, body oil, like what I have behind me. But cellulite reduction, right? We are moving into different seasons and we're going to be showing off the legs a little bit more. So what I recommend is also when you're in the sauna to either use like some of those cups to promote fascial release, or there are some of these fascial releasing devices out there that I will be sharing a little bit more about in a future episode on the ones that I personally use. But I do recommend actually going over your skin with these types of cupping devices or fascial release devices to actually break apart the skin adhesions, which is really the root cause of cellulite. And it's great to do that while your skin is a little bit warmed up already, so you're actually releasing more toxins in the process. So doing fascial release while in the sauna or while using your red light therapy is one of my favorite things to do.
I usually just do dry brushing. Isn't that kind of applying the same principle?
I actually personally haven't gone into dry brushing myself. I like to go a little bit deeper so that I'm addressing my fascia and also, say, for example, like my IT bands, which is something that's notoriously tight on me on my thighs. But perhaps I should start to investigate dry brushing a little bit more. Maybe we should do a future episode on that, Katie.
Yeah, I just I've kind of heard about the benefits of the lymphatic drainage and movement of that. And, obviously there's a ton of different massages that employ that same kind of principle. But yeah, I just do a little dry brushing, and it also makes your skin feel really good, especially when you go into the sauna and you sweat. That's sort of what I do for my biostacking. But I wanted to talk to you about, location, season, all of that. Like, yes, the ideal time for me to be in a sauna is the winter, absolutely, hands down. But now I live in a warm climate year round. Summer is coming. So what, Nicole, would you say would be kind of like Sunlighten's argument for like saunas are great all the time, and, just because it's hot outside doesn't necessarily mean you should stop your sauna practice.
Yeah, great question. So ironically, most of the time we find people that live in warmer climates, or, like we're in the Midwest, so we have all the seasons, but when it gets really hot, most people go inside. So although it's hot outside, most people are actually sweating less when it's hot outside. And so it's so important to continue to sweat. And it kind of goes back to your question about, if you are someone that does enjoy being outside when it's hot, I love the heat, so I'm always outside. But if you are someone that enjoys that, again, it's a different type of sweat, right? You're sweating when you're outside because it's hot out. And so it's important to still always continue your routine of infrared and that type of sweat, because you're sweating on a cellular level. And it's a cellular level sweat that's detoxifying and much different than it being hot outside.
One of my clients is a Sunlighten lover, and she was actually asking me in a consult, she's like, Rachel, how long do you think I should be using it? Right now I'm in there for well over 45 minutes. I bring my book in there and I totally lose track of time. And she was noticing some changes in her skin, and she asked me about it. And then I was able to consult with you, Nicole, and you gave me some really great guidance for appropriate time per use. And this is really important because too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. So what are Sunlighten's recommendations for the timing? How long we should be in there? What are your recommendations per age as well?
Yeah, so we would recommend, first of all, if you're not using infrared, you need to start slowly. Even if you're using infrared, but say a different brand at a location, Sunlighten has figured out how to really target and deliver the wavelengths at the exact wavelength, the exact point where the body absorbs it best. So you're actually getting the exact amount of infrared for your body at optimal use. So that being said, there's really not a benefit of using it more than 60 minutes. But also you want to start slow, whether you've been using infrared or not. So I would say start at 10 or 15 minutes, right? You want to make sure you hydrate. So drink some water before, during, and after. You want to really pay attention to your body and look for any significant changes. Obviously, if you start to feel unwell, get out. If you're someone who detoxes really fast, sometimes you can get some of those, detox sort of symptoms. Per age, it's going to be 1.5 minutes for each year of life. So up until puberty. Once you hit puberty, then you're considered an adult. But also I would just talk to your kids. I mean, I have a couple that aren't at puberty and they're really aware of their bodies. And so we just talk, and they know if they don't feel well, they get out. So I have slowly let them, use it 30 minutes, which would be more than they should considering their age. But yeah, again, beyond 45 minutes to an hour, there's no real additional benefit. But for age, and you can use it to 105. I mean, anybody can use it. It's just more about starting slow, working your way up, doing it, starting also a couple of times per week, and then you can work up to every day, but there's no benefit in using it multiple times a day. I've also had people ask me that. So I would say that the goal, if you really want to be super active with it, is every day for, say, 60 minutes.
Is there ever a time of the month that you should not be using it, or do you guys recommend still using it? I tend to sort of like shut down when I have my menstrual cycle and not do anything like that, but I feel like that's probably something I need more at that time. So just curious about like any safety, and obviously that would probably spill over into like pregnancy, and should you be pregnant using the sauna? Is that safe, etc.?
Yeah, so I would encourage you to continue to use it. It's so great. I mean, it helps regulate hormones. We have an amazing partner, Magdalena, Hormones Balance. She's all about hormones, and she really encourages women of that age to continue to use it. It's going to help balance hormones. It's going to continue to keep things flowing and really help. It could even help with some of those symptoms that you're having that time of year. It can actually help you, sleep better. It can help lessen some of those pains that you may be having, as well as give you more energy. Those are the most common issues that women have during that time. As far as pregnancy goes, that really is about the only time we would say not a great time to use it. There's just not enough data behind that. And so I would not recommend it, but you are able to do it once, even if you're breastfeeding. But as far as pregnancy, I would avoid during pregnancy.
All right. Any closing words that you'd love to leave our audience with and us for tips for using our Sunlighten Sauna and Lumineer so that we can feel good and look awesome in the process?
Yeah, I would just say, start doing it. If you're not ready to put one in your home, find a location near you where you can go and try it out. And again, if you start doing it, start slow, work your way up. The benefits are amazing. I don't care if you're 5 or 105. There's literally benefits of infrared for everyone, whether it's pain relief. Of course, there's all the skin things we've talked about. It helps with weight loss, cardio, helps reduce blood pressure, really great for people that have autoimmune diseases, which typically have a hard time detoxing. It's just really the sky's the limit. It's great for active people. We've had a huge influx in athletes, professional athletes, and not, and just amateurs like me that are still trying to run as I get old. But yeah, there's just so many benefits. So I would just encourage anyone of any age to reach out and start using it somewhere. And even if it's with the Lumineer, if you mention us or if you contact us at sunlighten.com, please make sure you mention how you heard about us, and we'll definitely reach out and give you an amazing discount.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know one person in Hawaii that has a 6-person sauna. It is a 30-minute drive, but it is totally worth it. So until we get our own, or maybe we get the solo, I'm going to go hit her up. And I absolutely just enjoy every session so much. It's really special. So definitely check out their website, guys. They've got some really fantastic models that can fit like anywhere in your house or outside too. It's like, as you said, the sky's the limit. Cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for hanging out with Katie and I here on Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and hit that bell notification on YouTube. Leave us a review, what you enjoy learning about, what you'd like to learn more about, and learn about all things Beauty and the Biohacker and Katie and I, and how you can work with us as well at beautyandthebiohacker.com. So thank you so much for your time, Nicole. It's just been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you both for having me.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into Beauty and the Biohacker today. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave a comment or share it on your social media account, and we'll give you a shout out. And don't forget to head over to beautyandthebiohacker.com to check out all our episodes and our favorites page, where we include our curated list of products with special discount codes just for you guys. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter, because we're sharing some exclusive content and giveaways you won't want to miss.